UIL governs every extracurricular activity in the state of Texas. UIL governs athletics, it governs band, it governs academics, and so academics is really only one part of UIL. Generally, when people call, athletics, they call it athletics, they call band, band. When they say UIL, what they really mean is the academic part of UIL, even though it's kind of like calling every tissue a Kleenex. It's kind of the same thing.
UIL has been around for 100 years, and it's a student's opportunity to compete with each other and compete with everybody in the state of Texas. And if you start out in any high school and you go from district competition and you win, then you get to go to regionals, and there you meet up with students from other schools throughout your region. And then if you win at first, second, or third at regionals, you get to go to state. And at state, you only compete against 12 people. If you just get to go to state, win, lose, or draw, you earn scholarships that are offered by the UIL organization. Many, many people have donated funds to that, and there's something like $4 or $5 million set aside just for students who do make it to the state competitions.
I think it takes a kid that a lot of times isn't competitive in a lot of other things, but they're going to go out and compete somewhere. They're going to compete for scholarships. They're going to compete for whatever, and they can take maybe even a kid that's slightly smarter than them. If they work hard enough, they can compete with that person, and that's what they're going to have to do the rest of their life.
Okay, let's put that in the calendar. My first year, they asked me if I wanted to do it, and I told them I need to just kind of get down what I'm doing with teaching. And then the second year, they brought me a file cabinet and said, here's the stuff you need for calculator. So I started by doing calculator, and I loved it because it's just a whole different kind of kid, a kid that wants to do math problems in their spare time. And so I really enjoy working with those kids.
The mass exodus of intelligence from East Germany into West Germany, and supported and promoted by American military and American diplomatic interest. The level of student, or the type of student that you find associated with UIL are truly commendable individuals, because they do this stuff for fun. It has a certain degree of academic pursuit attached to it, but they really enjoy it. Their goal is to make themselves more attractive to a potential college that they would want to attend, but when it comes right down to it, I think they would do it for fun anyway.
My name is Zach Sullivan. I'm currently doing UIL current events. I do it mainly for something to put on my resume, but also it's fun. I know that sounds dorky, but I actually have a good time doing it, and it's something I've enjoyed since I was little. It's just social studies and current events. Mainly you need to read like a bunch of magazines or newspapers. I like to read Time, Newsweek, and The Economist. The Economist is good because it gives you an outside perception of the United States, which is always a good thing, especially for current events, so you don't have any bias.
Zach Sullivan, yeah, he's one of our UIL current events kids, and one who reads those periodicals, Time Magazine, the New York Times, Texas Monthly, reads that stuff on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So he is a jewel among my UIL kids, because of the fact that for him it's no stretch. We're real confident that he's going to do well. Had a couple conversations with him, and when you ask him, he's like, shouldn't be any big deal. And hopefully that attitude, real laid back like that, is what's going to propel him forward, because he doesn't seem to get rattled about much of anything, but I'm pretty confident he's going to do well.
Well, if I have time that day, along with schoolwork, I'll probably spend 30 minutes just reading magazines or reading the newspaper or looking at news online. But depending on my day, depends on how much time I can devote to it. My ultimate goal is just to do well. I mean, not necessarily win state or anything, but just have fun. I mean, it is extracurricular, so I just want to have fun. As of right now, I have all A's in every class, but who knows? It's second semester, and I might get lazy.
My name is Bindu Thoda, and I compete in UIL calculator, feature writing, headline writing, did I already say that? News writing, and editorial writing.
She was in my class 2 years ago in my pre-AP geometry class, and she expressed an interest, because I always talk to those classes and try to encourage kids to sign up and do that. And she's naturally gifted in math. She did really well in my class. I know she's done really well in her other classes.
I also play the piano, and I do also Pink Darlings at the hospital to volunteer. And I do a lot of stuff inside school, like I'm part of the newspaper staff, and I'm our Key Club secretary, and I'm also part of our junior class representative and student council. And so I'm a part of a lot of clubs inside school, and then I just do a lot of stuff outside school as well.
One of her problems was she does so many other things that she does not have a lot of time. But she's one of those that's on the calculator, she just had a real knack for it. And so I was happy just to give her tests and let her practice on her own and then come to me when she had questions.
I don't have much, but I make as much time as I can to do homework, like after school, because I do have ballet every night, but I'll make time. It's first comes school and then comes ballet, but like it is one of my priorities because I've done it for so long. And for me, it's just like once I start something, I can't stop. So it is kind of hard balancing this, but I'm used to it by now because I've done it for so long.
My teacher from sophomore year, Mr. Newberry, he wanted me to join the math team because I was pretty good in his class. I resisted him for 2 years, and then I joined junior year.
He won state his first year doing number sense. I've never heard of anybody else doing that. I'm not saying it's never happened, but it's truly amazing that he went from starting to first in the state in a year.
So, I'll tell you about my smart aleck life. Okay, so I'm on the swim team, and I do water polo on the side too. So I'm an athlete, a student athlete, you could say. I also do various clubs around the school, like Key Club, National Honor Society. So I don't know if that like kind of eliminates any sort of stereotypes of smart people. That'd be cool because I don't like being stereotyped.
I mean, obviously you'd have to say he has a lot of natural ability, but he might have taken as many tests last year as I took in 2 or 3 years of high school. I had to actually tell him to slow down close to state. He was taking like 6 tests a day, and I said, if you're taking 6 tests a day, that's going to become like a rut, and you need to scale back to about 2 a day and try to treat each one of them as like the event of your day. Build it up like it's the state championship every time you take that test.
Number sense is a test where you do a bunch of problems. It's 80 problems. You have 10 minutes. It's pretty rough. I thought it was pretty easy though this week.
Once his freshman year, he made a mediocre grade on one test. And I took him down the hall, and I told him what I thought of it. And I said, I don't ever want to see this on your paper again. He made the mistake of saying, well, you put good job on somebody else's test that had an 85. That was a good job for them. They worked their rear off to get that 85. You did absolutely nothing to get an 85. You goofed around in my class to get an 85. And I said, I don't ever want to see that again. I never saw an 85 again.
I guess I just liked competition, so it just was interesting to me to do UIL and start competing in UIL. Besides UIL, I play the viola and I'm in the youth symphony. I play table tennis on the table tennis team at school. I hang out with friends. I'm in student council, I'm in Key Club, I'm class president and French club president.
She's an interesting one. He definitely, he absolutely loves mathematics. I was concerned about him at first. He seemed more grade driven than loving learning, and we had several chats his freshman year, and I said my goal really is not that you win state. My goal is that you're a better problem solver when you walk out this door than you were when you entered this door.
Yeah, I have a big interest in math. I do math all the time. I used to focus a lot on UIL, and last summer Newberry suggested that I go to math camp because he thought I had good problem solving ability. So I did, and while I was there, I got into a lot of different math competitions that are huge on the national scale, like hundreds of thousands of kids compete in them.
It's the difference between somebody being a good band player and somebody that's going to play the instrument the rest of their life, that's going to play in the Boston Philharmonic or something. That's the difference between Shri and sort of the just pretty good student that I have in pre-cal. They're not even in the same field.
My parents actually want me to be more well-rounded than I am. I think I'm pretty well-rounded. I do well in most of my classes. I'm an A student, so I do other things other than math pretty well. But I like math a lot. I like science too, and those are the fields I plan on going to, so that's where my main concentration is in.
He's probably the best problem solver that I've ever taught. I would venture to say he's probably the best math student in Wichita Falls in the last 20 years. There's problems that he can solve that other people would look at and wonder what he was asking.
We do all spend a lot of time together as a math team. Outside of just doing math, we're almost like a family, and we hang out a lot and have parties, and we do have fun. We're not just nerds.
When you start off with 1,200 kids and you compete in the district competitions, and then you dwindle it down to 50 at regionals, and then down to 12 at state, then you know you're in the best group of people in the world.
I always tell them if they'll give me 80%, we can do a whole lot with 80%. I don't want 110. First of all, that's mathematically impossible. So I always take about 80% for most kids, and we'll do really well. I'm not even pipe dreaming for 100%, but we can do really well with 80% of their effort.